Hi everybody, my name is Bongi Gladness. As you know, I'm here with Mr. Martin. I should look here for your surname, because I always say Martin. I always refer you as Martin all the time.
Yeah.
So now we are going to talk about you, but I'm not going to say much about you because this is about your life. You know better than me. So what I want to say is that tell the people who are curious at home, since we are here at Fearless Venting, I know that you are fearless. You vent fearlessly as I know you. So come on, tell the people what's happening, what happened, what's happening, what's still going on. Because I know there are a lot of also things that are very interesting about what you do now. But we're not really going to dwell in that because we know now we're all about your past and what your journey, what you're now doing and all that. So tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Martin, founder of Matrix Men in South Africa, author, life coach.
Okay.
And my life was kind of different to what most people talk about, especially for men, right?
Okay.
Especially for men. The angle we're coming from is that we constantly talk about this topic when it comes from the female perspective. So women are always victim, men are always the perpetrators. But my life was very different, right? So when I was a kid, 4, 5 years old, from what I can first remember, there were ladies that would molest me and perform oral sex on me and stuff like that, right? That kind of set the bar for the rest of my life. That kind of, in my mind, planted a seed that all I was worth was to be used as a little sexual toy, So when I was 7, 8, 9, apart from being molested by my mother in those days, there were other men that came in and molested me as well. When I was 12, I was raped by a much older lady. And at the time when that happened, I didn't understand it. I didn't perceive it as rape, But to be honest, when you look at the law and it says if somebody much older sleeps with somebody under the age of 16, it's statutory rape.
Exactly.
So we need to, but we kind of see that for the girls. We don't see that for the boys.
Because it's a norm. Like people know it like that. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, it's an experience I didn't want. It's an experience I didn't enjoy. But hey, that's life. Move on. Keep quiet. Forget about it. And when I turned 13, I met this guy by the name of Gary who groomed me. It took him like 2-3 years to groom me, and then he started using me as well.
Oh my goodness.
So I stayed in that relationship. I call it a relationship. I don't know what else to call it. Right? Until the age of 19, when in those days I got pulled up to the Air Force. We had to serve 2 years. So for me, the Air Force was great because it was an escape from what was happening in my life. My first suicide attempt was at 16. I started drinking when I was 13. But I mean heavily. I started binge drinking every weekend from the age of 13. And I really struggled with deep depression. I didn't even realize it was depression at the time. It's only now looking back on my life, I go, wow, I was suffering from clinical depression. So life was hard in those days. I mean, the age of 16, after my first suicide attempt, I decided I needed help. So I walked into a rape crisis center in Hillbrow, and I was confronted with all these big posters of the little girls cowering in the corner, or the ladies with the black eyes. And I looked around at all these posters and I went, but this isn't me. This isn't my story.
Yeah.
I'm a little boy. And I'm being raped by men and women. And
what did they say about it? Yeah,
nobody. So society sends this message that it doesn't happen to boys. So anyway, life goes on. Came out of the Air Force, did my 2 years, and then I kind of started a career, which wasn't really a career, but managing restaurants, and I chopped and changed. Every year I was in a different job, different profession, and eventually I attempted suicide another 4 times, from the age of like 22 to the age of 24, 25. And then I met this young lady who was like, I wouldn't say I was in love with her. I would say that I kind of settled because I didn't think I deserved
you found
better.
comfort. Where was your mother throughout the journey? Because I can hear you talking, but then I don't hear you saying my mom was there or not.
Yeah. So mom was she was the bad person in the story. So my mom was very aggressive, very angry. She would molest me in the bath. She would scrub my back until I was almost bleeding, stuff like that. She was a very angry lady. And
Peter.
yeah. So, I mean, if you said something wrong, she would take off a wooden shoe and throw it at you. You know, those clogs, those German clogs. And,
Yeah.
You know, and she was quite good at it. So she'd sometimes hit us, and, you know, or she would throw pans at us or hit us with the wooden spoon or the pop stock. You know?
So literally, she was non-existent.
I avoided her, seriously, because that was just easier for me. You know, instead of having that conflict and that hatred and that anger all the time, I would just kind of avoid her. So I was never home. You know, from a young age, when I could ride a motorbike, I was out every night. I was, you know, I just avoided going home at all. And it was kind of weird because I look at most of my friends, they grow up and they have a mother who kind of loves them and encourages them and does homework with them and, you know, that sort of stuff. My mom didn't do that. She never hugged me. I never sat on her lap and she held me or kissed me or anything like that. The only time she showed any affection is when we could make her look good.
Yeah.
Right? So when she was with her friends, she goes, "Oh, look at my amazing boy, my baby." She used to call me. I hated it, you know.
Yeah,
and then she would hug me, but like a sideways hug, and you know. So she would look like a good mom, but she was horrible.
So you would say she was more like a narcissist mom.
Very, very. You know, and I understand. You know, and I got to the age where I kind of realized that she had her issues.
Also, yeah.
You know, and she wasn't dealing with them. I guess for the older generation, they didn't deal with these things. You know.
Yeah, of course.
So as a result, my father was never around the house because he was just hiding away from the narcissist. You know.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. You know. So I eventually, met this young girl, settled for her. So we went out. I remember at one stage I actually broke up with her. I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, but she managed to work her way back into my life.
Okay.
And we got married. I was 27 at the time. And boy, we got married, and it was a week later then she started throwing the divorce word around. It wasn't even like, we didn't even settle into the marriage. It was just like a week, and then the D word was being thrown around.
So she was tired, or what was happening?
No, she wasn't tired. She was just, I realized eventually after 21 years of marriage that she was my mother.
Oh.
She was the same. You know, same person, broken, hurt, narcissist, that sort of stuff.
You know, now as you're saying this, I'm actually thinking about spiritually. You know, spiritually they say you attract, people normally attract the abuse.
Yes.
That they had. It's either maybe when you had a father that was absent, you're going to have a husband that is absent again. Absolutely. Or something, either way. Look,
yes.
You think that was the situation?
No, absolutely. Yes. I mean, I can state categorically that you will marry your dominant parent. Because that's what you're used to. That's your normal. So when you meet a good, healthy